one. We are back. South Philly Sauce and Audacy Original, brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels. Ashlyn now back in the studio. It's been some time.
Been a while. A lot of stuff, a little bit of summer vacation in this terrible weather.
I know. It really
it rains every day the Phillies play home, it pours. And you wanted, at least if you're out of the playoffs, you should get some good weather so that you can enjoy the spring. But no, you go out of the playoffs, you get 2 days at 90 degrees, and then it turns into flipping February again.
Right.
I'm not complaining, but I am. But it's just horrible. Okay, I'll go to the ballpark. I was going to go with Jonesy to the ballpark. It's cloudy, rainy, drizzly every damn game. So I'll stay home and watch the playoffs where the Flyers aren't in it.
Right. We're staying home a lot. And
we're staying home an awful lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to make it work. A lot of time off.
Too much time off. You're this is your second year here, not second almost full year here.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to have this much time off. And then you're doing baseball now. You're doing a good job in baseball, but that's a minor league sport. You don't want to be dealing too much baseball. You want to have a playoff hockey run to see what it's really like.
Yeah.
You work with Batalico and Ben Davis. Check Ben Davis's artillery of guns before he gets in and goes on. All that stuff. You got craziness with Batalico. You need more Hartnell and Morganti in your life.
I really do. I really miss you guys.
Yeah, well, you got two crazy people there. At least us. We cover a sport. We're really into it. We really pushing for that team. I know Batalico complains about everything.
Yes. That's what makes him him.
No, never say he is him. That is not going to work for Batalico. But I love them both dearly.
They are awesome guys. And I can't remember who asked me the other day how weird it is when you work with people every single day and you basically live your life half a year with these people and then all of a sudden it just stops.
Well, because in this business, Ashlyn, there's no dearth of crazy people.
No.
All right, before you, there was 5-0 was, what's her name? Taryn. Taryn was there. I call she was in Hawaii, so I call her 5.
Al has nicknames for everybody, if you haven't figured this out yet.
So she thinks, okay, I'm leaving those crazy people. I'm going to do the Phillies. She ends up with Kruk.
I know it.
You want to talk about somebody that's bonkers?
You have no idea what's coming on that broadcast.
So you have no idea, which makes it great for the audience because they have no idea what's coming up.
He is excellent. So needless to say, there is a lot going on in the hockey world, just not in Flyers land now, but that's okay. Hopefully they get there. But as we're watching the playoffs right now, I thought the most insane game was I thought the Dallas Stars were going to send the Avalanche packing. I thought it was a done deal, especially when you see that the Avs shut out their top 3 players, Makar, McKinnon, all of these guys, and then all of a sudden the Avalanche survive.
Well, what happens, Ashlyn, is, especially in hockey, all sports, but when your back's literally, everybody throughout the year will say our backs are to the wall. Well, there is a point where your back is against the wall.
Was that,
and this is it. That's why those elimination games are so difficult to knock a team out. Because even you look and you say, if you lose this, it's a whole different feeling to get knocked out, swept, or even the gentleman's sweep, as they call it now, with the 5 games, whatever. To just dragging along. You get a whole different feeling going in, and you can see that level of desperation, the chances that you take when you're going to, it's like when you're a kid, your mom or your dad says, "Oh, do this, we're going to do," and they never do anything. Well, finally they're going to do something.
Right.
So you're up against it. You better do something right, or you're going to get bonked or whatever. so it's like, all right, it's the ultimate game to knock that team out. So even 3-0, they come back. And you'll see what's happened. It's very, very difficult. That's why teams want to get it cleaned up so early. That's why coaches snap out when they're ahead 3-1 or whatever, and the game goes away, and they go, "Oh well, we'll take care of it at home." No, you had that opportunity. You got to get them out the building.
Yeah, and the Avalanche are very much alive right now. But I still just look at this series and how complete the Stars are, and how well they've been able to defend the Avalanche's star players and keep them quiet. Granted, they had that one game where you saw, I think Makar had 2 goals and kept them alive, but as a whole, they've been pretty absent this entire series.
Yeah, and we mentioned earlier, that's the most complete team. Their depth is so good. They've got players that aren't star level, I would say. But, you mentioned the guys in Colorado. The danger, though, is those stars, they have 2 good shifts, and everything can change. And Dallas also benefited because their goalie, who hadn't been good through a lot of the season, all of a sudden really rediscovered his game. And that really made an enormous difference. But it's been a fascinating playoffs because, Ashlyn, there's been all kinds of different styles of play. Dallas's depth, lack of goaltending in Canada, but it doesn't matter. Those teams get through. High power plays that went dead and then power plays that bury people. So it's been, as usual, a great playoff
Yeah,
run.
you get a little bit of everything, especially when you look at, we mentioned the sweep. I thought the Rangers were just going to take it away. And now you see the Hurricanes fighting back as well. And I'm curious to see how that all shakes out.
Yeah, that Ranger team is I think Carolina realized that Ranger power play is, oh my God.
Don't mess with it.
Yeah, absolutely. But you have to play physical against them. And they've got players that drive you a bit crazy and you want to go at them. And, Carolina had some injuries. Now people coming back. Goaltending has to be good. And that's another one where, New York goes in, everybody thinks, okay, the Rangers maybe they're going to win 8 in a row. Maybe they'll win, every game in the playoff. But no, because when a team comes up against, and that's the one I'm talking about. Like if let's say Carolina had got swept in this series. Then, all of a sudden, Brind'Amour is this great coach, but this 2 years in a row, you want to, get swept out. There's an enormous, I don't know why, but the difference between, if you lose 4 in a row, even if they're all close games, but the Sixers, when they get swept or whatever, it doesn't matter. For the next day, you'll say, wow, we were really good. All those games were close. But then
you forget.
That 4-0 gets hung on you. It's like you were swept. It's as simple as that. It might as well have been 10-0, 8-0, 7-0, and 11-0. You were swept. And so, but you win one game and draw it out and get everybody's, we can get a chance here. We're coming back. At least we showed some life. But getting swept to me is like, it's just the worst. It's like getting a D in school. Like if you got an F, means you're a dope. Means you can't do it. You get a D, you're really dumb. And it's like you tried and you couldn't do it.
Right.
You get an F and it's like, okay.
You could have so many excuses.
You're just a screw up. But you get a D, oh, you're a dope.
You're just plain dumb.
Really, and then it's getting swept.
Yep. Which reminds me, do you guys have Cracker Barrels up here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I ate at a Cracker Barrel in
those,
73.
Those games they have on the table?
Oh, yeah.
Where you have to,
yeah.
I'd always get, you're swept. Just plain dumb.
Dumb. Yeah. You get that a lot, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Get that in the mirror?
Cracker Barrel always reminds me every time I go to Cracker Barrel, you're just plain dumb. Yeah, whatever. Give me the biscuits. Speaking of not,
that's why you got a golden retriever. You want to feel smart.
Oh my gosh, he's so dumb. George is so dumb. He does make me feel smart.
That's right.
And then I thought was going to be the most boring of games was the Oilers and the Canucks, and they're the closest of the series.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was just going to be like, I don't even want to watch that. And that's been the most exciting, I thought.
It really, Vancouver came so close. I mean, Edmonton's just got no goaltending. I mean, they put a kid that was Picard. Picard was here with the Flyers. It's crazy. He was here. They got no goaltending. And that's the one where you got McDavid, if he just get going.
Right.
And but Vancouver's playing really hard. And that's where I think, Tocchet kind of came down on his team after they lost Game 4 in Vancouver because they could have gone up 3-1. And that's where I think that's why, because he realizes, having played through so many, we let him live. We really could have put him on the edge right there, and we gave him a break here. It's why he kind of hammered his team a little bit, which is surprising because they've overachieved, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But you look at that Elias Pettersson, and it's like, man, Tocchet needs more. And he's not afraid to go out and go right after him. It's impressive what he's done there, but it's a risky thing, too, to kind of re-challenge him in the playoffs. But I think that the fan base loves him there, and I think that team will react to it. I don't know how they're doing it. I mean, all of their numbers, if you look at analytic numbers, I'll say it's an average team. But, boy, I'll tell you, he's got him playing hard. And I think when I read his quotes afterwards, or listen to his media conference afterwards, I'm like, he's afraid that they gave Edmonton life that they didn't have to give him.
And Pettersson especially. It's been a big news this week in hockey media is reporters, and it was a great question. Hey, how do you get more out of yourself in the playoffs? And a little bit of an attitude, and didn't give him an answer. He doesn't have an answer right now.
No, he's there were all rumors that, they may want to cut bait with him. Then they gave him the new contract because of stuff like this. He's just so talented. Now, to me, I'm looking at it selfishly thinking, boy, the Flyers could use a guy like that.
That would be nice.
My God, skill like that. But I know Tocchet, and I know guys that have coached over there, and they don't know if there's for every coach in any sport, all you want to know from your players is, okay, what button do I push? And sometimes it's criticism. Sometimes you got to lift them up, pump up their tires. But they haven't been able to figure out what makes this guy tick. And that's a scary thing as a coach because you don't know where to go. And it's even a scarier thing as a teammate to know whether you can push on a bench on like, what are you doing here? And I think that's where they are with this guy. They know the talent level, but they don't know what button to push to get the 100% out of him.
Right, and it sounds like he doesn't know, and especially for the length he's been there. I get it if he's a new player, a month in, coming in late in the season, that makes sense, but you should know this by now.
Right, and it's a playoffs, and that's where you want it. That's where you get paid. I mean, I know, he had a great, he's got great talent, but it's I guess it's proof of why there were some questions about him, because we'd see a couple of games he plays, and I'm like, my God, what a talent!
Yeah, I'd give him any money he wants.
Anything, and then you see him when he's in a situation. Now we'll see how he reacts to it. Maybe this was the button to push, but his media availability afterwards. Now, I'm glad he was available, but I also think that tells you something, that the team put him out there because you answer the music here.
Yeah.
And we'll see if that maybe is the button that needed to be pushed.
Credit the reporter.
Whatever it is, and whatever it is that turns. I mean, maybe it's, a whole afternoon listening to ABBA. I don't know. Whatever it is, they got to find out what it is. Yeah.
And what has been, I thought, the coolest series to watch has been Panthers and Bruins. Panthers have won 5 straight playoff games in Boston, so it's going to be an insane atmosphere this next game coming up. And just when you thought the Bruins looked dead and it'd be another storyline, they're back in it.
Yeah, full disclosure, my whole family's
we know.
In Boston, and like they're losing their minds over this whole thing with the referees and disallowed goal.
A lot of excuses going on.
Oh my God, it's they're whining an awful lot.
Yes,
an awful lot.
Win a game.
Yeah, it's like win a game, especially at home. I mean, they're fed up with the Celtics losing at home, then the Bruins lose at home. It's like, well, what are you crying about? You got 2 teams in the playoffs. I'm in Philly. Okay, but it is it really has become an interesting thing, and just in terms of how much physicality you have. And like Marchand missing a couple of games after a hit, whether it was dirty or not, I did not think it was dirty. Please don't let this get back home. They'll strangle me. But I didn't think it was dirty. But I mean, I think Marchand realizes this is what it is. I mean, I've been a rat my whole life. If you want to try to out-rat the rat, I got no problems with it. It's what playoff hockey is.
Well, that's what Marchand had a great quote basically saying that the whole point of playoff hockey, and players don't talk about it enough, is taking your best players off the ice with injuries, with big hits. It's an advantage for the other team, and that's what makes hockey so cool, is that players will go out and write and say that.
Yeah, and it's why they don't want to disclose injuries. I understand people get annoyed with it, what's wrong with them, but like if I know, you got a bad shoulder, I'm going to bang that shoulder. And it's a physical game. It's not like a game where contact is expected. From the minute the puck is dropped, from sometimes before. I mean, we're back in the age of the pregame skate. If you go over the red line, it's like nuclear war, and we're back there. I like it.
I do too.
I think it's terrific. Nobody wants to go and purposely injure anybody, but if somebody's got bad ribs, you're going to go run it. It's just the way it is. I mean, that it's why it still remains a sport that is played best on the edge of mayhem. You don't necessarily want mayhem, but boy, it's great when you think there might be mayhem.
Right. Well, it gets people to watch. Yeah. And if they were to take this all back, what is even the point of hockey?
No. It shows up in the playoffs. You come in, you play hurt. You take. I mean, the danger is you try too hard to play hurt, and you're ineffective. You can't, because of your ribs. You can't bend down to get a face off the right way.
Right.
Stuff like that. Or you just really, literally, trainers have to be careful. Don't let a guy go out that could really injure himself. Right.
And it just goes to show, we've said this now basically every episode. And at first when John Tortorella was talking about this, I was like, man, I don't know. I really feel playoff energy. But when Torts was saying, no, the end of the Flyer season was not even close to playoffs, you see that especially now at the end of series in the second round.
What you did have was the feeling of we have to win, but there's a difference when you're in the playoffs. Just to get there. I mean, the Flyers had the pressure of we got to get in, we got to win to get in. So there was that pressure to win, but not like playoff pressure when that comes in. That's just in baseball's like that. All sports are sort of like that, but hockey to another degree is like that. It's another whole war zone that goes on when you're in the playoffs. And when you get into a long series, what gets most disappointing for a team, it's why people in Boston were upset. Marchand gets hit, or somebody in Edmonton gets upset. McDavid gets hit, and there's no guerrilla warfare afterwards. You do have to worry about the next game, but the fan base is like nuts. Like, you got to answer to that right away.
Right.
Well, I mean, if the other team's got a good power play, you don't
Not
necessarily want to answer it right away.
Right.
But you do take notes for the next game.
Yeah, and that's why that next game is going to be awesome in Boston. And as we said, there's not a lot going on in Flyers land right now. A lot of prospect watch that everyone's talking about. We see Farabee and Ayerson. They're playing at Worlds now.
Nice. Yeah, nice
cool
over there.
see.
Yeah, cool to see. Go over there and get that experience there. And just playing for your country's cool at any level.
Right, and I think especially for Farabee to get some more ice time here. I think there's a lot of questions right now of what is he going to become here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, he's an interesting case. I mean, if you're looking at a surprise trade, if you will, wouldn't be shocked.
I don't even think that'd be
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all. I like him as a player, but I think they expect more.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I look at him and think that's a guy I think you can build with, but they've got their own measuring yardsticks.
Well, this year was supposed to be for Farabee. It was the last offseason where he had the whole offseason in Philadelphia, rehabbing the neck injury. You're like, all right, well, this is going to be the year where he has a solid chance to make a name for himself. No more excuses. Go out there and get it. And I think we all can agree.
He didn't go get it. And then part of the I think they thought on the power play in that front or whatever, and it just didn't work out. He's a dangerous guy to give up on, though, when you see what he could do.
Right, yeah. And especially what are you going to put in place of him, right?
We don't know. Not right now. They're covered. I mean, we like some of the prospects, but it's not like this team, is loaded with prospects.
No, but one prospect that has been really cool to see, well, one, of course, is Mitch Cobb, and everyone's still talking about him in the Flyers shirt. We still don't know anything. So for everyone that asked, no, we don't know when he's coming over. But Oliver Bonk as well, which is a guy that we're really excited to see here soon.
Yeah, Bonk playing in London. Now, I think London, if I could draft all players out of London, I would want to. I think that the organization just develops players really well. But this Bonk he's a defenseman playing a bumper position on a power play, which is crazy, really, when you look at it. But it's really effective at it. And he's become more and more effective at it as it goes along, and in playoff situations, big goals late in games. And I understand they want him to develop, and there's no chance that he shows up next year or maybe even the year after. But I look at it and think, boy, if it had been like college football and the fans had seen this Bonk run this thing, they'd be screaming right now, "Bring him here next year when you got a bad power play and this guy can light it up."
Yep. And maybe does that, you think, speed it up eventually?
Yeah, well, I don't know, because I think what you have to look at is when you look at Drysdale, he was green lighted too quickly in Anaheim, and you see some of the holes in his game.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Flyers want to avoid that, but this kid, if he keeps this up and play another year, whatever, I'm thinking 2 years. I think he'd be here in 2 years, but I think their plan had been a little bit longer. Maybe they want to develop defensemen, but he did so much in 1 year in terms of his offensive skills that I'm like, man, maybe he's going to accelerate way past what you thought. And you have to keep an open mind to that too.
Right, and maybe he just is quicker to develop. But Drysdale's a great example of that because you see the potential, right? You see he's got it. But especially with all the injuries he's had, there's still so many questions about this guy when he's supposed to be a great piece here.
Yeah, and that's why I was wondering why they played him later in the year.
Yeah.
Because you could tell his skating is so good and it wasn't elite.
No.
And so now that he's getting that's taken care of with his core muscle injury, whatever it is, I think you'll see him be what he's supposed to be. And I think it just took, he developed just physically to be a player because you could tell late in some of those games late in the year, it was like, what's wrong? He didn't look like he did in a few games early. So I think that skating, that's what, that's his pillar of strength. So I think with his surgically repaired abdominal or whatever injury, it should help him a whole lot.
Yeah, he's got to get healthy. A lot of Flyers players have to get healthy, and there's a lot of questions about this roster right now. But luckily, we have an entire offseason to talk about this, so we'll keep it going and keep talking about the playoffs as well. That is South Philly Sauce, an Audacy original brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels. We will see you next week.